All right, what is up, tycoons? What's up, traders? Super excited for today's video. We have to talk about Nano Dimension. Now, the stock skyrocketed almost 15% higher today, largely due to earnings. But one of the most exciting developments this quarter is the fast adoption of our deep learning slash AI technology developed by our Deep Cube division. Now, that's what the NNDM CEO was saying. And a lot of people don't know that this is actually a secret AI play. So I'm going to cover that. There's lots to cover in today's video. All right, we're going to talk about the earnings report and really just dive into it real briefly, show you guys what investors really liked about it. And then we'll also dive into the AI very briefly and mention some of the key factors of the Deep Cube division. Okay, we're going to break down the different parts across that. We're also going to take a look at the option chain data. There's some really high open interest at a couple strike prices here for the August 18th, as well as the January 19th of 2024, option chain data. So that's going to be really interesting to see where option traders are putting their bullish bets. We're also going to use today's sponsor, Simply Wall Street, to dive very briefly into some of the fundamentals of the stock. And this right here is going to be one of the most important parts, in my opinion. We'll break that down a little bit more. You can see on Simply Wall Street, they get a 5 out of 6 actually on the financial health standpoint. That's what's really most attractive about the company right now, besides the AI. Again, that's using Simply Wall Street. There's a link in the description or pinned comment down below for a 14-day free trial and up to 40% off. All right, we're also going to break down the daily chart, guys. Now, it really doesn't get much better than this. Okay, I gave you guys the exact demand zone in the last video. Okay, and we fell exactly to this demand zone before skyrocketing up. We're going to go over all of the technicals that I'm looking at in the chart. If you guys ever want to book a one-on-one Zoom coaching session with me, you can always email me at ZachlyTrades@gmail.com, and we can go over whatever you would like. As always, the content provided on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So please be sure to read through the full disclaimer. And let's get into it. So what happened? Well, Nano Dimension had a quite memorable Thursday on the market following the release of the 3D printing company's latest quarterly earnings report. It notched a new all-time high revenue figure and announced the resumption of a shareholder-pleasing measure. Now, it reported Q1 revenues of 14.97 million, which is up 43.5% year on year. The EPS of 0.009 was significantly higher than the year-ago EPS loss of 0.13. The increase is attributed to increased sales of the company's product lines. We delivered a significant revenue growth in the first quarter of 2023, with the third record-setting quarter in a row, defined by exceptional performance and steady quarterly organic growth since July of 2022, said the CEO. Now, the adjusted gross profit jumped 68.5% to 7.05 million, and the operating loss in the quarter under review totaled 31.20 million, narrower than the operating loss of 32.92 million in the year ago period. Now, let's dive into some of the AI aspects, right? Now, they have a deep learning AI for advanced additive manufacturing, okay? And they refer to that as AAM, and this is under their Deep Cube division, all right? They have the Deep Cube AI software. Now, DeepCube's pioneering inference accelerator drastically improves performance on additive manufacturing hardware, and it gets real-time error detection and correction. Now, DeepCube applies the same neural network training behind photo and speech recognition advancements to the manufacturing of parts. So this results in improved part quality because multiple sensors can spot defects too small for the human eye, and increased part yield because AI-driven decision-making corrects printing errors in real time. Now, many companies will only leverage machine learning or AI to the extent that its results are intuitive and transparent, and in some industries, explainable to external regulators. The importance of this transparency came through in the survey, with 67% of leaders track traceability of outcomes compared with only 14% of the rest. Now, this is also going to bring along unrivaled data speeds because DeepCube's proprietary algorithms increase the speeds of data and analysis tenfold, making it the only hardware performer accelerator of its kind. This is going to result in memory usage reduction, which overcomes the infrastructure, energy, and memory limitations of previous AI models for low-cost deployment, and from data center to edge. So the leap forward in software processing allows AI to take on an active role in edge device control. All right. And then when it comes to distributed global automation, artificial intelligence turns machines into nodes, and DeepCube transforms 3D printers into a viable global solution for the demands of Industry 4.0. So it's production minded because DeepCube can coordinate multiple machines across the lab or across the world, and it's learning across the network. So the machines share learning inferences with each other for immediate adjustments in production flow. So you can revolutionize your manufacturing process on demand, anytime, anywhere. And this is a really, really big thing that's got a lot of investors really interested in Nano Dimension and where it could potentially go in the future. Now, when we look at some of the option chain data, okay, what we're going to see here on this bar chart is green is going to be call options and then red is going to be put options. And we can see that, there's a large amount of call options relative to the put options. The put to call open interest ratio right here is at 0.29. That's relatively bullish, okay? And if you take a look for this expiration right here, which is going to be the August 18th of 2023, we see the highest concentration is going to be right here at that $3 strike price, okay? So what this could result in potentially is a gamma squeeze, okay? And so a gamma squeeze is simply when market makers have to hedge themselves and start buying shares of a stock because of the open interest on a certain strike price. Okay, so as NNDM approaches $3 a share, if it's above $3 a share and closing above $3 a share, closer and closer towards August 18th of 2023, market makers are going to have to start hedging themselves, because if someone with an option contract wants to execute that option contract, it's going to be to purchase 100 shares of NNDM for each individual option contract. So market makers, what they do is they go in and they buy the stock and they buy those 100 shares, okay? So that way, in case the person holding the option contract wants to execute it, they now have those shares available for the execution, right? And so it's not a guarantee, and it's not something that will necessarily send Nano Dimension up to $10, but it is something you do want to pay attention to. The closer we get towards August 18th, you want to see, is that open interest rising in that $3 strike price here? And are we holding above that $3 strike price or getting very close to it? If so, we could see a potential gamma squeeze there. Now, if we move forward to January 19th of 2024, we can see that the highest concentration strike price is actually here at the $4 strike price, okay? So what this essentially means is that a lot of option chain bettors, they're betting that the price of Nano Dimension is going to be above $4. It's going to be $4 or above by January 19th of 2024. And if remember what I just mentioned about the gamma squeeze, if it is before then, okay, and the closer we are to that expiration date, this is going to result in market makers starting to purchase 100 shares per option contract as we get closer towards that $4 strike price and we really hold above there. That's what's going to start to happen. Now, when you look at the call open interest, it's extremely high, guys. It's at 80,000, okay? So there's about 80,000 people using call options to bet that the price of Nano Dimension will be higher in the future. Now this is the daily chart structure right here. And we went over in the previous video, we had this triangle pattern here, and we're looking to see where we're going to get a breakout or a breakdown. And I mentioned in the video, hey, if we get a breakdown, most likely we're going to target this demand zone. And if we break through that demand zone, we have another small demand zone down below. And look at exactly where it bottomed out. It hit exactly at the bottom of that demand zone. So this is where buyers were present, right? And price action is going to be driven towards these areas of liquidities, especially after a breakdown, right? So we have this indecision basically, throughout this time period here, and we get drawn down towards our demand zone and we see huge skyrocket to the upside. Now, what's really important is that we actually rejected our 61.8% retracement level here. Now, why is this important? Well, because that's exactly where we got rejected last time we had a really, really big rally, right? See, we have this huge move to the downside. Okay. And then we saw a rally and we came right up to our 61.8% level. And then we consolidated there for a couple days and we actually dropped back down. Now, in that result, we ended up forming a double bottom here and seeing a nice slight bounce, but we rejected our year to date anchored VWAP. Okay. So that's what this blue line is right here. This is your year-to-date anchored VWAP. And essentially, when you're below this, okay, when you're below that blue line, that means that your average shareholder or your average buyer from the beginning of the year is down on their shares. Okay. Now, market makers and people like Ken Griffin of Citadel, what they do is they tend to buy and sell, all right, at the VWAP. Okay. And so specifically, you can see here, this was an area where there was a strong rejection here, and you see a strong push down to the downside into that demand zone. And currently, if we take a look, we are above our year-to-date anchored VWAP. So this now means that your average shareholder is green on their share prices from the beginning of the year, if they've been buying since the beginning of the year. Okay. And then also we're above this yellow line here, which is going to be your month-to-date anchored VWAP. So from the anchored VWAP perspective, we are above both of these, and that is more bullish. But our year to date is still trending down. All right. We want to see this start to get an uptick. If we have any pullbacks, we want to find some support right around this anchored VWAP area, which is going to be around that $2.60 price range. Okay. Now, 282 is still the key level. All right. We have to get above there and be able to flip that to some type of support from resistance. And then we could get 100% retracement up here to the $3.22 price level. All right. And if we really want to extend this rally and go on a mega rally, we have bullish price targets above 322 at 351, 366, and 388. But there's lots and lots of work to be done before we get to that area. Now, one important thing that's really you need to pay attention to as well is going to be this RSI trend line here. Now, the reason that this is important is because we initially had a bearish divergence where we were creating highs here and then higher highs here. So we can see that the price of the stock is definitely in an uptrend, right? Well, when you look at your RSI, this is your relative strength index. Okay. It's going to measure the relative strength of a stock at its given prices. And you can see we actually had a high and then lower highs here. We're at the exact same places where the stock was making higher highs. And what happened is we ended up seeing a nice drop in the stock due to that bearish divergence. And we've been rejecting that trend line anytime we try to come up above it, right? And we rejected it over here. We saw another push down in the stock, and we finally just broke out past it. Now, we are approaching 70, right around that overbought level on the RSI. So it does make sense we would see some type of pullback in the stock sometime soon. But just because something's overbought doesn't mean it can't go higher. It can trade sideways and then continue to go back up. All right. But if we do see a pullback, we want to see the RSI bounce off of this trend line and flip that to an area of support from resistance. Even if we just go sideways or we go up, that's going to be a bullish sign rather than coming up above, getting a look above and fail. That's going to be bearish. Okay. Because at this point, if we pull back, this is the chance for bulls to now step in, show that they're in control of the price action, and really try to push things up higher. And if they fail, it's going to show that bears are actually in control of the price action. So you want to be very mindful of that moving forward. Okay. So that's pretty much everything that I'm looking at on NNDM at the moment. We've dove briefly into some of the fundamentals over their recent earnings call. We also took a look at the technicals. Okay. 282 is that critical level, guys. That's our 61.8% retracement level. We definitely want to pay lots of attention to there. Okay. Always remember, you can email me. Okay, if you guys want to do a coaching session, if you guys want to go over some technical analysis, or you want me to help you with some different option strategies and go over some different choices you have available, you can always email me at ZachlyTrades@gmail.com. All right. And don't forget about today's sponsor, Simply Wall Street. They have a great website, a great app. All right. You can use that link in the description to help support the channel. It's a really great platform that I've used for a while. If you're not a pro at fundamental analysis, Simply Wall Street has their pros there working for you. And it's a really awesome platform. 14-day free trial, as well as, up to 40% off for the first 100 people that join. Appreciate you watching the video. Smash that like button, subscribe for more.